What's going on, everybody? It's the VG Mobster here, and today I have two guests of mine from Premium Edition Games. I am so excited to have them on the channel, guys. We got JP Switchmania in the top right. What's going on? What's going on, JP?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just excited to have you guys here. And we got Jeffrey in the top left. What's going on, buddy?
What? What's up?
As you guys can see, their backlogs are very small, so they're probably going to get through all their games this week, probably.
Yeah. I have a whole shelf dedicated to the ones I really want to play.
Me too.
Yours
Awesome.
is your collection, JP.
Yeah, you guys have pretty legit Switch collections. So I think this company is right up your alley. I think that's an understatement to say, you know. But again, thank you guys for joining me on the interview. I gotta say, even off air, I was excited for you guys. Just when I saw the announcement, and I was like, I gotta talk to these guys. I mean, my base is really Switch games, and I know that's what your passion is for you guys. And obviously, a lot of my followers on Twitter and subscribers on YouTube are really big into like limited run and special reserve, like those type of companies. So when you guys said that you were doing something like that, I was like, let's get in here and let's see what you guys are going to bring to the table. So yeah, I mean, before we really start jumping into more info about the company, I just kind of wanted to start with you guys just telling everybody a little bit about yourselves, like how you guys got started in gaming, just a little bit of background for each of you guys, and then we'll go more into Premium Edition. We'll get some questions we have from myself and from the fans for you guys. So JP, you want to start? Just give us a little background on how you got started with gaming and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, gaming for me started back in the NES days. So, my parents bought an NES system, a Game Boy, the Game Gear. So I grew up in that era. I've always been playing, but honestly, I've always been a casual gamer. Before the Switch, I was never a full set collector. Never even thought about it like that.
Wow.
I'm sorry. The closest I ever had to have been the PSP, because I was working at Babbage's GameStop at the time, and with a discount, it's easy to pick up more games. So that one I had like 200 plus games. That used to be my biggest collection. And then when then after the Wii U, I missed that whole era. And then when I found out I was getting discontinued, I said I should probably just go for that collection because there's under 200 games for it. So I started doing that, and then lo and behold, the Switch comes out. And I remember watching the presentation, as we all did, and they reveal what the Switch was, and I go, this system looks good. There's only like 5 games coming out at launch. Why don't I just, go for those 5? And then before I knew it, I've got a few more than 5 games now, and I have no idea how that happened. But Switch to me has been the first system that I decided to go for a full set, and not even like a full North American set, a full worldwide set that supports English language. That's kind of like my definition of what I go for. And then I do, the variants, the second printings, things like that. But that's how I got into gaming. I don't know if you want me to go into right now how I got into like the Switch community. We could do that later if you want.
I mean, you can drop it in right now, then, because the most of the stuff later is just going to be about Premium Edition. So yeah, you can drop it.
So for me, the Switch came out. I was a very quiet collector. I wasn't part of any groups. And then one day I just saw an ad on Facebook that somebody was looking for a reviewer for the Switch Effect, which was a new website at the time. I think it was only out for about a month. So I reached out to the person. I said, I think I could do reviewing. I did one review, which was Sonic Mania. I remember that. It was the digital version. And then after submitting it to her, I started talking to her and I said, I like marketing. Maybe we can do something there. And I ended up being her interviewer. So during my time with them, which was for like 8 months, I interviewed over 100 different developers, publishers, and it really just started to get me really excited and involved in the community. And at that time, I also joined the Switch Physical Collector Facebook group that I think we're all a part of. And I kept doing interviews. I ended up writing a little bit for the Switch Player magazine that's UK-based. I wrote for another website, also doing interviews. And then finally I said, maybe I should just do this on my own. And that's where JP Switchmania came. And it was actually 2 years ago this month that I started my website. So I started doing the interviews. I got a review team. And little by little, I don't know how it happened, but I just started being more vocal in the community, started sharing information, and that led me and Jeff to connect, which, he can continue from there. But it's crazy to think, like, 2 years ago, I mean, I don't think people knew who I was. I had like 60 friends on Twitter under like my actual name, and now it's crazy to think, like, wow, I'm in the Switch community and people know me, and it's just been so fun and like a wild ride.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's really cool. So Jeff, tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
So I'm a different beast. I'm crazy. Pretty much. Like, so those that don't know me, I've been writing in gaming for around 20 years now. Been published in multiple magazines across the communities. I mean, I've been in the new, Nintendo Force. I've had homebrew community articles there. I wrote for Video Game Times Monthly back in the day when that was an online publication on the old sharing website. So eventually, though, evolving my collection, because I've been collecting for 30 plus years, I've always been having some kind of video game. I kept on getting the same damn manual for the NES. I was going for the NES, and I'd be like, oh, look, there's Contra. Let me pick it up again. And then I ended up with like 2-3 copies of the same manuals over and over again. And I'm like, these apps on my phone just aren't working. And I came up with the idea of the Complete NES, which was the NES Collector's Book. Ended up meeting an artist from Garbage Pail Kids, Joe Simcoe, at a convention because that was my second book. When I was writing for Pixel Nation, which is a UK publication, they actually published a book of my online Hidden Gaming Gems articles. They called it Hidden Treasures in the UK and published it. And through that experience, the legendary Walter Day actually got me recognized in a video game award back in 2014, right about when I established Hagans Alley Books. But through the Walter Day connection, met Joe Simcoe, and took that to Kickstarter, and it went viral. It went crazy. Started getting invited to conventions all over the country, and was doing book signings. Went to Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and I did the finals of the Tetris World Championships with Chris Tang, the Boom Tetris for Jeff Year. I am the Piechment Places guy.
Wow.
That's me.
That's
8 million views later. They're on ESPN2 now. And
wow.
I was that guy. I was that crazy guy. I couldn't go the next year, and they ended up having James Chan take my place, who's been with them ever since. But he does an awesome job. He's a Twitch commentator.
Nice.
I did that. I've been in The Bits of Yesterday, which is a video game documentary. That's over, I think it's on Amazon Prime now. So it's pretty cool. I was able to share collector stories and my aspect of collecting. But since the Complete NES, I've now had 20 publications published in print, different books. I have multiple signed authors, with the Friday the 13th book being the newest one that's coming out. However, some of the Switch collectors may know this little kid.
Nice.
This collector that
Never heard of it.
JP, never heard of.
Never heard of it.
No clue.
No clue.
Handsome guy.
So those of you who are wondering, as a game publishing company, will we be able to, produce stuff? Like, we've published multiple things in print. I've been doing books at the highest quality for at least 5 years, because it took me about a year to get all synced up. But now we're doing everything at a crazy high level. And with this first release that we're doing, we're going to take things to the wall. So my question for you, Mob, what's your secret that you have?
Yes, I'm gonna. Me and Jeff were talking before we went on air. I actually had a secret that I revealed to Jeff that I'm gonna share with JP right now. Actually,
It's called a bucket list item for a creator.
Some of the artwork on his one of his I think this is an NES book, right? The complete
Oh wow.
That is.
It went viral. The complete NES. And that's
That-
the cover.
Wow.
Tattooed on his arm.
That is the cover tattooed. And the guy, it took 7 hours to do it. Guy who has been tattooing for about 30 years did it. He said it was like the most like characters he's ever done in like one tattoo. So it was pretty awesome, and I get a lot of compliments on it. So I always try to. I don't know if Jeff sees. I always do try to tag you. Like when I see it, I'm like I try to tag him. I don't remember every time. But a lot of times people go up to me like, "Oh, where'd you get that? Like, that artwork is awesome," or whatever. And I'm like trying to tag him so he like kind of knows that it's there. But yeah, so we wanted to share that with you because I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I took.
The book has been out of print for like 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
So, like I have so many requests to reprint it, and I'm actually working on a definitive edition of that book.
Oh,
nice. Much thicker at the quality level that we're doing with the Switch Collector. So, like, it is pretty much done. If I didn't have a certain company that's eating up all my time right now, if I didn't have a company doing that, it would already be out. But I'm working on it. I do all the books as a fun hobby. I mean,
that's really cool. Yeah,
that's
really cool. Yeah, so
I have to ask though, when you got the tattoo, did Jeff know about it before you got it, or right after?
I didn't know about it so much later.
No, he didn't know. He didn't know about it. I was just kind of. I just wanted to go for it, and I was telling him that my goal was to. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but my goal was to just kind of get a tattoo that was like a way to incorporate a lot of different video game characters in a like kind of cartoony way, and I thought that was really cool. So
that's awesome
artwork, man. It was really cool.
Sounds like you have a back piece in your future when you
Ooh, I want to see that.
See my Sega Genesis cover. It's already done. I've been working on the Sega book for 3 years now.
Wow, nice.
It takes me a while to do the ones from scratch.
Oh, I'm sure it does. I mean, so that's awesome, man. So yeah, Jake, if you wanted to show you that, we thought that would be a pretty cool surprise.
That's a small world right there.
Kind of. I know, and it was so weird because when I saw him on Facebook and somebody, I think what I posted about artwork and somebody tagged him originally. And then I was like, "Oh, that's the guy!" Like, and then I recognized his name. I was like, "Oh, that's the author." So I was like, that's kind of how we like connect, like not connected, but I mean, I've seen him tip through tags and stuff like that throughout. So yeah, it's a small world. It's crazy.
Awesome. And I do have the original pencil drawing and the original painting framed in my.
Oh, that's cool. I would love to see that. Man. Send me a picture. That'd be really cool. That's pretty cool. That's awesome, man. All right, guys. So yeah, well, thank you for giving us the background, just so people know. Obviously, like with this background, and I knew obviously a good amount of this, so that's why I was so confident that you guys, when you announced this, I was like so excited. So I wanted to ask you, like, besides like your love for gaming and Switch, obviously we just saw, what was like your inspiration to really like take the dive with this venture, though, particularly? Like, what really put you guys over the edge to actually say, "Hey, we're gonna do it"? What was the main inspiration?
JP, was there ever like an over the edge? I think it was the first time we ever talked. We're like, let's publish Switch game. Like, it was a while, like a year ago, like over a year ago.
I think it was around the time we were already talking about the Switch Collector book. I mean, I can speak from my experiences that after having my review team review games and me sharing about the games and just loving all the physical publishing companies out there, I always wondered, like, is it possible? Could I do this too? And then once Jeff and I connected and started talking, we're like, yeah, I think it is possible. Like, if we do this the right way, this could work out really well for the community, for us, for the developers that had their games locked on the eShop and possibly forever on there. So for us, for me, the timing felt very right, even amidst COVID-19 right now. Like, to us, like, this is something good coming out of it, and it's something that we've been looking forward to announcing and getting off the ground for a while now.
Well, and you got to think about it. Like, my dream as a kid was to release a Nintendo game. Like, for real.
Yeah.
That was the dream. That's the dream. Let's make Nintendo games. That's what I've always wanted to do as an NES kid, Super Nintendo kid. I was like, I want to release a Nintendo game. And the thing is that like I'm not that good with programming. Even with NES Maker that's out there where you can make games, I'm still like, but I absolutely have a keen eye to playing games, to talking about games, to going over all the nuances, creating even artwork assets and things. So, I mean, I've done the NES homebrew side where aftermarket games, and I've published, 4 or 5 NES homebrew games now. I mean, I just re-released Jeffrey Whitnagan's Black Box Challenge, which is an NES RPG where you collect video games on a Nintendo cartridge. So,
nice.
I just realized
awesome.
that, yeah. Yeah, Joe Simcoe did the art of that, and I'm literally swimming in a pool of Nintendo games, and it drew me.
Yep.
Crazy. That's that picture. But, like, I've released those, and that was cool, but, like, it wasn't official. And so it's not real at that point. And so, like, when JP and I were talking, and I'm like, well, he's Mr. Switch. Like, if anybody is more passionate about Nintendo Switch right now in this day and age, it's JP. And it was crazy because, like, we literally, you know, everybody reaches out to Nintendo, but because I have the background in publishing print, like, I was able to get people on the phone, and that's how we're able to get our foot in the door, essentially. Now, of course, we mentioned, you know, in our videos where we're popping around, like, we're going to do some, like, retro-style NES boxes. Well, my goal is to get the NES seal of approval on one of our NES boxes.
That's awesome, man. Hey, that
made.
I mean, yeah, that's like you know, in mafia terms, you're a made man once you do that. You know what I mean? Pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
So that's it. There you go. Hey, forget about it. You know, that's awesome. Yeah, if you guys get that, then you're in. You know what I mean? That's it. So that's great. Now I wanted to ask you guys. I mean, obviously, I mean, like you said, I mean the actual market for it is definitely there because there's so many digital games that don't get physical releases. Now, obviously, when the Switch first came out, I mean, people were saying, you know, we really want this game physically. And then, you know, now, obviously, 3 years into the life cycle, we have companies that are doing that, like limited run games, special reserve, super rare games, stuff like that. I mean, I guess I just want the viewers to know who are watching the video, what makes your company, what are you guys going to separate? How are you going to separate yourselves from those companies who already have, you know, a couple year jump on you? You know, I guess that's one of the things. So what do you guys plan to do?
I think Jeffrey's alluding to it. I'll let him start.
Yeah, Jeff.
I mean,
kick it off, man.
Our main thing that's going to separate us is that I have a history in publishing. So with our premium deluxe editions, which we're going to be doing sprinkling throughout, we're not going to do a ton of them because books take a while. But we're going to literally be bringing back third-party strategy guides. And it's going to match the size of our premium deluxes. So premium deluxes are our, you know, special editions, our limited editions, whatever you want to call it. We're just calling it deluxe because we have a lot of stuff with it. So like the same quality that everybody has with the Switch collector is going to be with it. And we're not doing just a strategy guide. One of my authors, 8-Bit Steve, that's going to be with me writing these, he's a speedrunner. So he's going to hit it from not only a tutorial perspective, but like, hey, we're doing this awesome P game with the Pigeon Death questions. Well, how do you maximize your speed times in there to make sure that you're competitive if you want to go for a different aspect? And we're going to do that. But also, we have the unique advantage of working directly with developers. So we're going to get the history of the game in the book. We're going to get stories, artwork, original artwork, whatever we can find from all the members of the creation team into the book. And then it's going to be more of a history piece with a strategy guide. So each one, and that's like kind of our contingency, is like we actually can work with the people, with the guy. We're not just doing a third-party guide. It's more like a second-party guide because we're with them. And I talked with Nintendo already about it, and I'm like, hey, are there any limitations? They're like, no, you just have to, you know, send it to us, and we make sure that you crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's. And I'm like, that's it? Really? Cool. And so that's one big separator between us. I'm sure JP is going to go over like 27,000.
No. I will say, so one of the things that we mentioned in the direct, we have it on our website now, is that we have a special card that's included with all of our releases. So even just the premium editions, because we're not always going to be doing a deluxe, but with all those, we're going to have a special card. And it's not just a trading card. It's not just the cover of the game. It's really a challenge card. And we talked about this on our Switchmania playcast last week, so it was the first time we really got to go into it. But now for your listeners and for everybody, we can dive in a little bit more. So as Jeffrey...
So question for you, Mobster.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Did you play Activision games on the Atari 2600? Like Pitfall?
Well, yeah, I played them. Yes, I have played them. Yeah.
Like River Raid. Showing my age. So,
yeah.
Yes, you are.
Back in the day, on the Atari 2600, when you would play some of those games, there would be a card in the box, and it would say, hey, if you score over this point, mail it in, and you get a patch.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I've never seen that personally, but I have heard of it. So, okay, I know what you're saying.
My River Raiders patch that I earned as a kid. And my thing that I thought would be really cool is like inside the game, we're going to have our card, like other people have had their card.
Mm-hmm.
However, on the back of our card is a developer-created challenge. And so then players will be able to do that challenge, and then they have to follow the instructions on the back of the card, like how they're going to take it with the card, like with the screen on there, or however we put it for the challenge. And then they tag us all online based on, how we have the instructions, and we will mail them a patch. And I just got the demo for the Super Blood Hockey pack. It looks amazing. It's all sewn too.
Oh, nice. So it's like it's like those backpack patches, right? The ones you use to iron on, like those type of that quality. Nice. The embroidered patches. Yeah, those are
and
nice.
Every single game had like a theme, like the River Raiders or the Pitfallers or the Oinkers. So what we're going to be doing is it's going to be like the Deathbringers for Super Blood Hockey. And we're going to have something for Pigeon Dive. We're going to have something for the other games that we do.
So that's going to be on the standard. That's going to be on the standard and the deluxe ones, like all the different versions.
It's going to be with everything.
So,
cool.
And what's even better, it's free of charge. So as long as you do the challenge and pretty much just tag us on social media, tag the developer, show us that you actually completed it, contact us, and we mail it to you free of charge. So it is going to be limited, right? It's not going to be we're going to print out like 1 million copies, but for those patches, first 1,000, first 2,000, whatever number we choose, and I think it's going to be fun because our mentality is we want you to play the game. There are collectors that will keep it sealed, and that's their choice, but we want people to enjoy these games. That's why we, Jeffrey and I spoke with the developers, spoke with the digital publishers, and we fell in love with these games is because we want people to play them. They're enjoyable. And this is, to us, just another way to help build a community around these games because we're all doing the challenges together. We're all completing them differently. And then we get a cool little thing in the mail. It's like when you used to buy cereal and you'd mail away, and then you get this really cool thing that you can't get anywhere else. And I'm excited for that because he's even making me do the challenges. So I have to play the game again and beat it.
I'm not mailing him a patch so he doesn't challenge.
I know.
That's how it is. And trust me, that's the only way to get the complete version of our game. You have to beat the challenge.
That is really cool.
That's
the thing. I mean, because you obviously, it's so good because the people that are buying your games, 95% of them are collectors anyway. So they're going to want the complete. So that's really ingenious. That's awesome. Really cool, guys.
All they have to do is play the game.
That's the key. It's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. And it's fun. It's fun. But, people just love, like, you can see JP's collection back there. Like, they just love, like, there's something about getting the complete of things. There's something about, there's like a rush to it. I have the complete set, or like, I finish it, like.
Zero.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's like a physical trophy. Pretty much.
Exactly.
I mean,
it's a good way to look at it.
A physical trophy. So that's cool.
And those that didn't see me at conventions last year, I was wearing my Marty McFly vest. Well, I have a premium edition jean jacket. Now I'm going to have the patches on as I earned them.
So cool. That's awesome, man. If you come in with a hoverboard to too many games, sign me up, man. That would be really cool.
Real one.
That's awesome, man. Well, all right. So you got, now that's the thing too. Another thing that really got me into, wanting to reach out to you guys. The first game that you're launching is awesome. Super Blood Hockey. That game is so good. I'm a huge Blades of Steel fan. So, like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, my God. And it's, like, bloody and, like, what they couldn't do back in the day, like, to the extreme. Yeah, so that's, like, I mean, what a game to launch with. That's really cool. You guys have, 2 other games, too, like the Pigeon Dev Collection and a robot named Fight coming soon. So I just wanted to ask, like, why these games, though, for, like, the front 3? Besides them being good, I'm not saying they're not good, but what was the other factors that decided to having these 3 to start off with for you guys?
Well, we do have one advantage with me working on these books, and that is we have a section, digital-only games we want to see a physical release.
Ah, there we go.
For real, on the top of my bucket list, on one of those, was a robot named Fight, as I'm working on volume 2, which covers year 2, when a robot named Fight was released.
Nice.
We're going over it, and we're like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, I was like, JP, I tried hitting up the developers, like, they didn't say anything to me. JP's like, hold my beer. No,
hold my beer.
15 minutes later, we have a deal in the mail. It was crazy. Like, it was like insane. Like,
that's
JP
cool.
Madness. But literally, like, I'm the guy who knows every single digital game because I'm going through them all and hand-picking the best of the best every single year. So I've went through the first 3 years already and went through them. So we're just going through. And Super Blood Hockey was a target of opportunity. It was awesome. We were talking with the digital publisher about some other games, too, a bunch of them. And he's like, he mentioned Super Blood Hockey. And I'm like, oh, I remember it from last year.
That was a slam dunk to me. That was a slam dunk right there.
Oh, yeah. And I'm a big hockey fan, too. So it really helped. Originally from Chicagoland with Blackhawks when they were doing their Stanley Cups and all that craziness. And back in the day with Eddie the Eagle. And, you mentioned Blades of Steel. I was always NES Ice Hockey. And this is like the spiritual successor with the same almost graphical aesthetics. And even when I play like NHL now, when I'm playing NHL 20 or 19, I'm violent as hell. Like I was playing versus a real hockey player and he's sitting there trying to skate around. I go, boom, and I knock him down and I take the puck. He's like, this isn't how you play. I'm like, in Super Blood Hockey, that is how you play. There is nothing better than getting a giant brawl and jumping in a 12-on-12 match.
Oh my God,
with
it's
tons
insane.
of gore everywhere.
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like slam dunk.
That's
and
awesome.
then JP can talk about the craziness of the Pigeon Dev.
Yeah. So for us, the Pigeon Dev is what we're hoping to be the first of many, and what these are called are multi-carts. So they're multiple games, different games. So I don't know if everyone realizes, but these 4 games, which is Awesome P, Awesome P2, Explosive Jake, and Bucket Night, they're all individual games on the eShop. So they're all 4 separate releases. This is going to be the very first time all 4 games by the same developer are going to be on one cartridge. And when we started reaching out, we were like, how do we get? I would love as much as possible on the cart. And when we had the opportunity that we could get all 4 games on the cart for the very first time, we went, yeah, this is awesome. Like, we really like this because it serves 2 purposes. One, it's the value, right? You get multiple games, you pop it in, you got 4 games right away. And they're 4 solid, fun games. And they're all, Awesome P1 and 2 are very similar in the style of the game. But then you have Explosive Jake, which is like the Bomberman style. You have Bucket Night, which is, you're going around collecting loot and shooting, and it's all 8-bit graphics. But what's awesome is that on their own, they're 4 fun games and maybe smaller in title, but when you put them all together, it's a huge release. And it's also something that's never been done before with these games, which is really exciting.
That's cool.
What did we say, JP? I think the guide for that book, that's going to be our first strategy guide. I think it's getting close to 300 pages.
Yeah.
That's a huge guide.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Dude. That's crazy. But
yeah, it's insane. And it's really cool doing all 4 games. So we have, essentially the first Nintendo Switch standalone hockey game that's been released. And we're having the first US-based. So that's the one thing. There's been a couple of multi-carts in different regions. But first US-based with a multi-cart, which is really cool. We're just trying to, but that's all by happenstance. We literally picked the game.
Yeah.
Awesome P was also in a year, too, where I was looking at the same, same section with the robot named Fight. And I'm like, ooh, Game Boy type of graphics. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They all have like the CRT kind of style that you can also smooth out, but you have that retro aesthetic feel, which we just gravitate towards. That's what we love. And, it opens up for us because when a developer has multiple titles, on their own, you may look at one and go like, yeah, it's a solid game. Would it do well physically? It may or may not, depending. But when you get 4 of them, it's like, wow, like, yeah, absolutely. This is like how it should be done because you're just taking 4 games immediately off the eShop and you're preserving them. And I think that's great, for the developer, for the digital publisher as well. And what's really completely coincidental is that, we announced the Pigeon Dev collection, and right now, Awesome P 1 and 2 are getting physical releases on other consoles, not the Switch. We're doing that one. But I think that's great because we're seeing it on the Vita, we're seeing it on PS4 now, and then we're going to see a 4-in-1 on the Switch, through our collection. And it's also going to be our first in-hand release, which is going to be really fun because you're going to actually be able to be like, it's here, it's for sale, not pre-order, it's for sale. And I think that's exciting to do as well.
So what JP means by that, though, is that, like, literally that's another thing that will differentiate what we're doing a little bit. So, like, we're going to have some games that you do a traditional pre-order like we're doing with Super Blood Hockey. But with the Pigeon Dev, like, when JP goes and launches it, like, here it is. You can buy it right now. And, we'll have a certain amount of copies in hand. And there we go. And if it's super, super popular, we'll continue that trend run.
Yeah, well, I think that's another thing, especially with the COVID delays, with a lot of limited run releases. People are just, they love the releases, but they're still not here because they're getting the steel books from China, and they're waiting for this and this piece to come to complete the collection. With all the delays. Because of it, they've run into it. And even just standard releases take a long time. So I think that's actually a really cool thing to do because then the people can get the turnaround faster on the game. So that's really awesome. Good job, guys. I'm excited for that multi-card idea. Really awesome idea. I'm really excited about that.
Considering that Awesome P 1 and 2 on the Vita sold out like immediately, like we're going to be releasing on the Switch with 2 other games,
and you can play them, and honestly, those games, a lot of those games are better in handheld, like a handheld variant. So I think it'll sell even better. I think it's a better fit for Switch anyway. So that totally makes sense. All right, guys. So you told me about these couple games. What do you guys see as like, let's say your goals for like the next beginning years, like let's say year 5 or something. What do you guys see this expanding like into? Like through. It's fine.
We always talk about our 5-year plan. That's how.
There we go. Perfect.
Start it off. Yeah, for me and then for Jeff, this is what we're doing in 5 years. Like he has the lucky fortune to be able to retire from his day job in a few years. Me, not so much, but I'm
old. Yeah, I'm old.
No, our goal 5 years, this is what we're doing full time. Right now we're in 2 different states, so we're doing a lot of things remotely, face to face or even just on the phone.
The state of sanity and the state of insanity.
There you go. Which one are you pointing to when you say that? No, but at some point, we're hoping to connect and get a headquarters, get a physical location, and build a team. We're starting to do that now. We're starting to build our team. But in 5 years, this is what we're doing, and hopefully we're able to do even more, in 5 years, because that's what our full focus is going to be. I don't sleep anymore.
Do you want to know the real 5-year plan? Do you want to know the real 5-year plan?
Let's hear it.
Tell me the real 5-year plan.
Do you want to know the real 5-year plan? JP knows it. We're going to be creating and publishing games. Switch 2 will be out by then. It won't be just the Switch anymore, right? So, we're going to be getting together. Because what you're going to notice as we evolve as a company is we're getting together with members of the community. We're not just, randomly picking out some kind of, professional style, really expensive marketing dude. We got JP. We got members of the community. We got we're not super hoity-toity, got to wear a suit to work. We're collectors. We're part of the community. I'm part of the community. We're it. And so when we're going through, even when we're making the manuals, we're going through people in the community. When we're working on cases, I've been doing this for so many years and I have so many connections, and I'm going to go with them. Who did our video was Console Wars, Dan. I've hung out with Dan and had beers with him at conventions, and we always have a good time. And I'm like, hey, dude, are you available? And he's like, absolutely. And then he's sitting there lording over us while we're recording, saying, do it again. but like, seriously, like, he's part of the community. Like, and that's what we're going to do is we're going to continue that. And we're working hand in hand with our developers. You're going to see as the pre-order when it goes on, we have interviews with the developers coming up, with the musician, with the creators. We're going to have bios on all the members of our team as well. Our slipcase was done by Paul Niemeyer, who worked on Mortal Kombat and Tron. And
so cool. I actually saw that. I was going to mention that when you guys were talking about Super Blood Hockey. The artwork that he did for that is absolutely insane. It is awesome.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then, like,
so
the
good.
actual case that we're doing is done by the musician who's a comic book artist, which is crazy.
That's awesome.
Like, I was like, what? And so, like, that's going to be a really cool story for the blog and also, like, for inside the manual, because our manuals are not going to be like 3 or 4 page picture books. Like, it's going to be about 20 to 30 pages. It's going to be some details on the games and history. JP needs a memo page. That's what we said. We have to have a memo page.
I said we need those little note pages at the very end.
Yeah, at the end, so you can fill in. Yeah, that's
NES
true.
style.
Yeah, man. You know,
So,
I mean, exactly. Like when you guys open, when you open up that Switch case and they have that clip for the manual, and they never. I mean, besides Nicholas and like 2 other people, nobody does it. So, you know what I mean? I mean, maybe again, like Jeff said, maybe I'm showing my age, but I mean, I remember reading through like the manuals and stuff like that when I was a kid. You know, it's cool. Yeah. Sometimes you don't want to filter through a menu. You just want to check, how do I do like, especially nowadays with all the different, moves you can do. Like, how do I do that crouch again? Like, I just totally forgot because there's like 60 other things I can do, So I wanted to ask you guys
when
too.
you're playing a game and you come back to it, you know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. It's just a good, quick reference, and then I'm an artwork guy, graphic designer, so I love just seeing that artwork in there. Just call me old school, but I just love seeing that.
That's what we love too.
The interior of the case, because JP
so excited,
like a crazy brawl, and then he wants the character underneath the cartridge slot, just like a little bonus, like bloody character,
so cool.
A KO character when you pop out the cartridge.
So cool. That's pretty cool, actually. But I want to now. You guys, obviously, Switch is where you're starting. Now, do you guys see again part of that 5-year plan? Do you see expanding? I mean, not even just Switch 2. Do you guys see maybe possibly doing like PS4 versions or PS5 releases or anything like that? Again, smaller indie games. But is that something you guys envision, or are you gonna kind of stick with Nintendo? What do you guys think?
So I would say never say never.
Okay.
But we would probably be more inclined to go retro, since I know a lot of retro creators, before we would go into the future and go towards PS5 and Xbox Series X or anything like that.
Okay.
But the thing is that like the goal was always to go with Nintendo. It was never to expand out any further. It all depends, though, because the thing is that, like, if we have another Wii U on our hands, right,
yeah, exactly.
and it's not, like, being supported by gamers, and we have a relationship with developers, we're going to look for a way to expand that. So that's why I say never, but our focus is solely on the Switch.
Oh, yeah, of course. I just figured, even in, something just to throw out there, just because so other people know, Okay. Awesome.
We never want to limit ourselves. We have our focus, but we'd never want to limit ourselves because I also want to do what's best for the developer as well. So if we're able to help them expand, that's another bonus.
That's great, man. Well, I mean, see the thing too. I think you guys should be, you guys are touting. I think you should tout even more is that these are game collections, pretty much built by guys who own the games, who love the games, who appreciate physical. I mean, we know, So I wanted to ask you guys. This is kind of like a random question before I get into a couple of fan questions that I have. Of all those games, I'm sure you got a couple back there. What is a physical release for Switch that you guys stands out to you that you would kind of tell people who may not have it or something to kind of pick it up? Just one of your personal picks. Could be
I'm gonna go
mainstream.
first because he may take mine.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to pull it off the shelf if I can, because I feel like everybody needs to see it.
Oh, the best part
That's
about this for
right.
me, though, is that JP's video is frozen.
Oh, no.
Oh, I see it.
Well,
Yeah.
you can see it. So this is
Yeah,
Yoku's
Ron-
Island Express. So
Okay.
Yoku's Island Express by Villa Gorilla, published by Team 17. This was a game that I had never played, honestly was never going to play it, and then Jeff had picked it for our Playcast episode of the week, our game of the week. And I fell in love with it because it's like a pinball Metroidvania kind of game, which two things I don't normally play. And I absolutely loved it. I loved the design. I loved the feel of playing it. Like, it's just like a feel-good game. And it honestly, like, it's funny, like, the Switch isn't that old, but to me, this is a hidden gem. Like, this is a game where, like, down the line, like, everybody should own. I mean, I love it. Like, it really is one of, like, my top games on the system.
Nice.
And it's not that it even takes that long to play. Like, what we beat it under 10 hours
Mhm.
and maybe a little bit more to get 100%, but it's phenomenal. Like, it's so good. So this is one that I highly recommend, even
Nice.
just as just a regular physical standard release, not a special edition
Yeah.
or anything like that, but Yoku's Island Express.
Yoku's Island Express. All right, Jeff, what are you pulling out? Are you pulling out one for us? Or you just telling us about it?
Do I need to stand up right now? Because I'm sitting on a beanbag chair.
Hey, you gotta stand up.
Beanbag chair. Beanbag.
At least he has pants on.
Yeah, that's good.
Of course I have pants on. So my top 5 are up here, right?
Okay.
This
Oh,
would
yeah.
be-
That Castlevania is gorgeous.
So,
Gorgeous.
Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon
Yeah.
right here. But not only because the game is seriously the spiritual successor to Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, but also this artwork right here was done by the original artist of Castlevania, Tom DuBois. And so Tom he drew Konami. And so he did the artwork for that Bloodstained one. And, it was pushed out by a limited run, really cool. That is probably my favorite release, even though I would still say probably my favorite game on the Switch is probably still Breath of the Wild.
Mhm.
But like that right there, Breath of the Wild's right in the center, right? Center. But like I love that. And you saw I even did a perler of the game of Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon, and we just did Curse of the Moon 2 on the Playcast as well.
Nice. Yeah, that was one of the few that I actually did, order from limited run, just because that NES artwork.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I have to have this. This is really cool. So, oh yeah,
The original guy.
yeah.
Like,
There you go.
How could you not?
That's pretty awesome.
What's your game, though?
yeah, what is
What's your game?
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go with the Octopath Wayfarers edition.
Nice.
That set is, I mean, to me, even my daughter, she's 8 years old. She's really good. Yeah, Octopath, great.
Oh, yeah.
She's 8 years old. She really loves Nintendo Switch too, like her dad. She even said, "Man, Dad, this set is really cool." Like when we were opening up like the pop-up book and the map, which is like that felt, kind of piece.
Huh.
They just put a lot of detail, a lot of like work into that, and the game is awesome too. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, if you guys ever do get the rights to Chrono Trigger and you can get them to kind of build it in that engine, please
Be amazing.
do that. Please do that. That would be awesome.
Never know. You never know.
I always tell people, I'm like, I'd always want a Chrono Trigger like remake #1, but if I have to go in that art style to do it, I'm totally fine with that too. So
That'd be nice.
I mean, the art is amazing. That's the thing, and like,
Yeah.
I'm all about like the artist piece, like having Tom who did that artwork, but like we have Paul Niemeyer doing art who did
Yeah.
multiple video games throughout the years. On my books, I've had like Philo Barnhart who did Dragon's Lair, did one of my covers. He did my NES Oddities cover. The Hidden Gaming Gems cover was done by Mike Winterbauer, who did Power Blade,
so
and he
cool.
did my
I mean,
Gaming Gems cover.
Dragon's
It's
Lair.
so
That's
cool.
yeah,
Man.
yeah. Dragon's Lair, especially.
He didn't even do just Dragon's Lair. He also did The Little Mermaid. He did Beauty and the Beast for Disney. Like, he is a
Insane.
legendary. Philo
Insane.
Barnhart is a legendary. Like,
Insane.
it's crazy. And, like, tying works into the legacy of an artist is always really cool. And then you get to see their flavors. And
Mhm.
hopefully we can have Paul do, like, a lot of our slipcases going forward because he's super excited.
Oh yeah, and the one for Super Blood Hockey is awesome. So That's a great connection for you guys. All right, so I got a lot of people in like my private, Twitter feeds and stuff like that who are honestly, they're even more passionate than me. I mean, some of them, I thought I was pretty passionate, but they had a couple questions for you guys. So again, just wanted to throw them out to you. I got one question here. How many games do you guys have lined up, and is there usually a lot of work with the licensing process? That's one question that I got.
8 million games lined up.
What?
That's one question.
Licensing is a never-ending process. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, we want to do right by the developers, so we have to be very careful with how we're doing all that. So it is very difficult to do licensing, especially because, number one, a lot of times we're not dealing with the developers because the games were published on the eShop. So they have a publisher too, and then each publisher has a different deal with different requirements. We got to make sure, that we have everything tied together, and we want to make sure that the developers are taken care of. That's like a big deal for us, is like making sure they're good. And so like we just want to make sure it's done right. What about you, JP? Anything extra?
Yeah, I mean, well, you asked, what we have lined up. So, we announced 3 games already. Well, unfortunately, as much as I wanted to share another game, Jeffrey said, no, not yet, because we still have to finalize just a few more things. But what I will say is that even though we announced 3 games, A Robot Named Fight is not necessarily our 3rd game. So we mentioned initially summer 2021. Could bet there's going to be some games in between there. And I'm really hoping that we get to our goal is that we want to share them in the direct style that we did with our first 3. We love doing that. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
Cool. That was cool.
And that's kind of, if we're able to, that's how we want to do it. We want to announce 3 or 4 games at a time, and not that they're on top of each other, but just like, hey, this is what's coming out. So I'm really hoping that in the next, I would say 2 to 3 months, as we near the end of the year, may be able to put out our next video and show people what our lineup is for 2021. I will say, though, that with the discussions we've had and the back and forth, I have some personal favorites that, I see on the eShop, and I'm like, oh my God, if I ever could make it physically, this is the game I would do. And it may be happening, and it's unbelievable. For Jeffrey, he sees A Robot Named Fight, and it's like, that was his top. I've got my top list, and it's like we could be announcing those very soon. But I will say that we are finalizing one of the games now, and we're in, I would say, towards the end stages of the next couple. But
nice.
Again, we do want to reiterate, it's not going to be one after another, because we don't have the time, and we want to give the time to the developers, to the digital publishers. And that's what we like, is we have these windows where it's just about them. It's just about that one release. And, we want that quality to show and reflect premium. That's why we named ourselves that, to keep us to that standard. So we don't want to rush anything. But I am excited. 2021, I definitely think it's going to be a lot of fun. And even 2022, we're already starting to look at. And it's possibly some games that haven't even been announced yet, aren't even on the Switch yet. So it's exciting times.
There's some ridiculous stuff that we've had talked on, and it's like, oh, if we could push this out, it would be epic. And I'm like, oh my God. It's ridiculous. And while we can't, divulge, we're talking with multiple developers. And the funny thing is, even before we launched, the word got around in the publisher community, and they're like, oh, you're moving fast. And we're like, we never signed any contracts, or we never said we're releasing them. We're going slow. We've made that very clear as we talk to people. And then those are developers that are watching this. We're moving slow because we want everybody to get their due, because we're going to be having all the podcasts and the posts and everything else about the developers. That's important to us. And if I can be so bold, JP, I would really love it for people to not have more than 1 game pre-order at a time. We could avoid it. I would love to. There's different delays and craziness. But I would love that. That's why we're doing the game in hand, right? So when we do our second game, it's not even going to be for a pre-order, and it should be arriving at the same time as Super Blood Hockey. We're hoping. We're moving forward. We're not waiting until after the pre-order window to order Super Blood Hockey. I've been working on it nonstop months before we launched. It is a never-ending process. So regardless of what happens after that pre-order window, the game's already in order. It's coming. So like those that are waiting to see it in hand, cool. But like if the pre-order's done and we're done, it may not be getting another print run.
Yeah.
That's it, man. Well, it's, if you want premium, you gotta cough up. That's what it is. So, I want to ask you guys too. It's another really good question. I have a user here who actually knows a developer who has published some games, and he kind of wanted to know what was the process that you guys have, for them to reach out and potentially get their game published by you guys. Like, what's kind of the process for that? Is there somewhere they can go to kind of find that out? I guess they just kind of wanted to know what that would be,
Yeah, I'll speak. I mean, the one thing that we do is we actually are proactive. We reach out a lot of times because we see a game that we like, and we'll just reach out directly to the developer. and the first question is there a physical plan? Because I haven't seen one, and your game is fantastic. Can we talk? Other times, they just email us directly, or they'll DM me on Twitter because I live there, as you know. So what I would say to any developer or digital publisher that wants to reach out to us, you can email us. We have our support at premiumeditiongames.com email address that's right on our website. You can reach out to Jeffrey or myself directly on social media if you want. I'm sure you'll put the links below.
Exactly. I was just going to say that at the end, I'll have all the links in the description. I'll probably put some of it over in the graphic overlay as well, just so people can see it.
And I will say, like, our DMs are open. I mean, I'm always responding. So if somebody reaches out to me, you're going to hear back relatively quickly, if not immediately. But reach out to us. Let's start the conversation because it's definitely worth talking with and seeing where it could lead to.
That's awesome. Yeah, I thought that was a cool question, just from the other side. So I thought that was good to highlight. And I guess the last one I have here, now you guys talked about the directs that you guys are doing, which is really cool. Again, obviously with Nintendo, we all get excited when we see those red arrows go across the screen. That's what we live for. We hopefully our official one from Nintendo is coming soon, but we'll see about that. But I guess I wanted to ask, they were saying too, what other kind of marketing ideas or concepts, kind of promotions are you guys planning to do for some other games, just to kind of, let people know about the games and, maybe tie in with the theme of the game or something, maybe anything you can kind of, give us insight on in terms of marketing.
Two things that I can share, for our first release, because that's, what we're focusing on right now, is right now we've pretty much just done grassroots marketing, right? We're on social media. People know us in the community. We're sharing that. But now we have to go beyond the initial community because there's so many gamers out there. So our first game is retro inspired. It's retro theme. It's Super Blood Hockey. So there's a magazine called Old School Gamer Magazine, and their September issue when it comes out, you're going to see an ad for it right on the back cover. That's going to be about Super Blood Hockey.
Nice.
It looks awesome. Yeah, old school ad by Erica in the community. So at EJ Fanatic, she's amazing. She did the JP Switchmania logo. She did our Switch Collector logo, premium edition. You see those game cases. So she's amazing. So we have that. Then also there's a company called Video Games Monthly. So they send out retro games each month, and we're gonna in their September boxes. It's gonna be an insert for our game.
Very cool.
It's gonna be one side about our company, and the other all about Super Blood Hockey. So we want to touch and hit those retro gamers as well. For the future releases, we'll have to see and kind of see what ties in well and where we can market. But each release we want to get the word out there. So on Facebook, you're going to start seeing ads. Everybody knows I do giveaways, so you can absolutely expect to see that coming soon in conjunction with Premium Edition games. So we've got that.
Big giveaway coming up.
Yes, if you're following me on social media, you may have seen a picture today of what we'll be giving away, and that's only one of the items, which was an Animal Crossing console.
Nice.
An Animal Crossing Switch console.
You can't play our games without a Switch, so I'm going to hope at least somebody get one.
I'll give you some bubble wrap.
Hey, Jeffrey will donate the bubble wrap.
Nice.
But we're looking at other avenues because it's going to be more than just social media. Jeff's talking about radio spots as well. So we really want people to know who Premium Edition Games is.
We're on the BG Mobster podcast in too.
That too,
it,
yeah.
Hey man, I would anything you guys need from me, man. Let me know. I'm definitely here to support. So
Thank you.
That's awesome. All right, yeah, guys. I mean, I think that's really it. I mean, you guys are, I know me personally, even just hosting this podcast, I'm even more excited about the company than I was before starting it. I'm sure everybody that's watching it is gonna be the same. Like JP said, I am gonna have all their information, all company information in the description. You guys can reach out. Obviously, too, anybody who's specifically with me and they don't feel comfortable reaching out to them. If you want to reach out to me, I will forward all the information to them as well, so they can talk with you. Yeah, he is very intimidating. But whatever you guys need, I just know we're all excited for you guys. Obviously we're all big Nintendo and Switch fans, and having games made by the fans for the fans. That's the dream. You guys know what we want. We trust you. And I know you, I know in my heart you're going to deliver. So I'm really excited for you guys. Is there, again, I guess just in terms of, just to close it out, where can the best way to find you guys, I guess, on social media, where would that be? Just for people that don't know.
I'll start. So you've got two ways. I run to all those places. Mm-hmm. Twitter's the best place. I mean, I live there. Yeah. But also if you want to email us, you can go right to premiumeditiongames.com. There's an email button at the bottom, and we're checking that. I mean, it's right on our phone, so reach out. We're happy to respond. I'll say one more thing after Jeffrey says where you can find him.
Awesome.
Find me on the website. We also have a Discord channel. We frequently go on there and chat with people, and we don't really monitor or do any kind of censoring. So you can say whatever you want on there. It's fine. JP may not read it, but I will.
I'll read it.
I'll post JP's icon reads like this, or Barry's, who's doing a lot of our public outreach. He has a Teletubby cloud that a listener made from our podcast.
Creepy.
So, yeah, it is very creepy. I'm at Hagans Alley everywhere. Hagans Alley books on Instagram, and then HagansAlley.com is where you can get the rest of my books. I have a few in stock. Switch Collector has about, I think it's less than 40 copies at PremiumEditionGames.com because we do have some there. Mm-hmm. There's about less than 40 on HagansAlley.com, so we're almost out of Switch Collectors. And this book is over 300 pages. This book is a big sucker, and we're about to launch Volume 2 pretty soon. Because it's done. I'm literally just trying to budget it in with time for Premium Edition. Premium Edition is the focus. I mean, even after I finish Super Blood Hockey and have the last pieces, because the back and forth with Nintendo listeners and viewers, back and forth with Nintendo takes a while. Yeah. I'm going right into Pigeon Dev because I need to order it at the same time because we want it in hand for everyone. So I'm already working. I've been working Pigeon Dev as well. That art that we showed on the Direct was literally drawn by the developer, which is amazing. Very cool. Drew it custom on the fly for us for this release, which was really fun. We're going to literally be doing that. We're going old school NES with our manuals, so it's going to be like the classic style. And there's going to be a sticker inside the case, too. So it's going to be a really fun release.
You guys are giving me that. Yeah, you're giving me that Nicalis vibe, you know what I mean? Which is great because those are like some of my favorite releases on Switch. So, just kind of like giving you your money's worth for the physicals, and hitting those nostalgia notes that you guys seem to know so well. So, thank you guys again.
Hold a lot, and we're going to test that.
Yeah. So, JP, what was your last thing? What was your last thing you wanted to do?
Yes, I have a little checklist of things I don't want to forget to say. Just one more thing. Yeah. So first off, shout out to Barry. Barry on our team, he's the guy that Jeffrey mentioned who's running Discord. He's always there. He's also handling our support email as well. Great team member. We just brought on Frank. If you follow my reviews, he's one of our reviewers. Super great guy. He's going to be helping out with social media.
Frank the Tank.
Frank the Tank. That's what we call him now. I don't even know if he knows that.
Yeah.
I do want to give a shout out to SwitchCorps, the entire community there, because without them, I mean, I would have nobody to talk to. I mean, that's where it all started, really, where we built that community. And then finally, two finalies. One is Switchmania Playcast. Every week, Barry, Jeffrey, and I have a weekly Playcast series where you can see what game we're going to be talking about. And then also, it's the best way to just get in contact with us. We use Anchor, so you can leave a question right on there about our company, about us, and we can talk about it each week. So you'll always find us every week
We
on the
record
Playcast.
it live.
We do it live now, which is crazy.
Nice.
It's only audio though, everyone, no video, but it's live.
Yeah, gotcha.
Maybe JP could do video because I see him doing
Maybe one
video
day.
right
Hang there at it. And then the very last thing is pre-order Super Blood Hockey.
Yes,
Pre-orders
please
are
do
open
that.
until September 22nd.
Okay.
It's right on our website. It's right on the front page. Pre-order it. Secure your copy today. I sound like a little, commercial, but it's worth it.
We've literally fixed the U.S. shipping issues. We had a default issue that happened with the website or something after we launched. People were asking about it, and we looked into it. And we're like, oh, let's fix it. And then we literally went and fixed all the shipping issues for people because we went back to each individual customer that asked, and we went through. So, like, those that have been holding out, like, it is available. The shipping is super reasonable. I think it's under $5 for most of the U.S. now.
Nice.
We're working on an option for international right now.
Yes.
Nothing is signed on the dotted line yet, but if we can, it's going to be epic.
All right. Well, I think the sky is the limit for you guys. I think, I'm really excited for you. I mean, just off that cover art from Paul alone, I got to get Super Blood Hockey, just alone on that. So, I mean, other than that, that's great. So thank you guys again. And again, I'm going to have all their information in the description. And again, we'll talk with you. We'll talk with you guys soon, and hopefully you can give us an exclusive right before the direct or even an exclusive hint before the direct, so we can kind of tease it to everybody.
Hold us to it. I think we can do that.
All right, awesome, that's great.
And thanks for having us.
Oh no, of course. I appreciate it. All
Yeah,
right, guys.
see the tattoo one more time.
All right, one more time. The tattoo.
Fuck yeah, lit.
There it is.
Awesome.
Right there. All right, guys. You have a great night. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.